The label doesn't matter. When it comes to taking the decision, making the decision of getting out of a certain situation or protecting yourself, the label in most cases doesn't matter. Oftentimes, when you go through a hard situation, let's say someone does something to you, they do you wrong, and you're oftentimes we when we experience this kind of things, we try to make sense of what's happening, of what the person did. We're trying to understand what's going on in their brain, what type of person they are, why, and we have our minds, our brains are flooded with questions, trying to figure out what is going on with that particular person. And sometimes you can get lost trying to find out, trying to understand, or trying to put a word, put a label on these people. Now, when if you experience recurrent um, recurrent misdeeds, let's say, from that person, sometimes it's good. Most of the time, if you do know the label and if you have like a pretty certain suspicion, um, you it does help sometimes when it comes to taking certain steps, taking certain measures to protect yourself. But in general, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that person is a narcissist, if they are neurodivergent, if they have OCD, if they have ADHD, if they are what do you call it? There's a term, I forgot. I forgot. It doesn't matter if they're a psychopath. It doesn't matter. What you, I mean, it matters, but it's not necessary for you to figure that out on your own, for you to take action. If you don't have a label, if you don't have a diagnostic, which is probably going to be what, I mean, the case for 90% of people, they're not going to have a diagnostic about, of that person's, state, mental state or physical state or whatever. It's very unlikely for you to actually get that information for sure, because you go through a lot, and then there's a lot of people going on. I mean, you're gonna meet a lot of people. Many of them are gonna do you wrong. You're never gonna really know what I mean, what's going on with them. So I'm telling you this just so you don't get stuck on having the right diagnosis, because that may delay the actions you may need to take. So instead of a label, instead of a diagnosis, look for patterns. Look for things that are certain, right? Don't I mean, sometimes when you know the label, when you know, if you have an idea of what that person may be or may be going through, it does help when it comes to taking certain actions. But the reason why I'm making this video is because um, the importance is really in the treatment. Does that person treat you right? Do you feel great around them? Do they cause a lot of anxiety and stress and discomfort? Do they trigger fear in you? Do you have some kind of, I don't know, some kind of weird dynamic of submission to that person? Look for things that are certain And these things are usually enough for you to take a decision. If you don't feel good around someone, that's a valid reason enough. That's a valid reason for you to take your distance. Okay? That person is continuously taking advantage of you. You need to maybe get them out of your life. Because at the same time too, you are accepting this behavior. So it continues because you accept it. You have the power to say no, I don't want that anymore. Or to just remove yourself. You remove yourself. So though the I think though I mean though, although the label matters in terms of understanding sometimes the depth of things, it can also help with prevention. Like you can maybe you know what to expect from that person, and that can help you protect yourself better. But don't get stuck on that, because it's very unlikely that you're gonna find a right, like an actual diagnosis from a professional regarding that person, you know, and you are not a professional yourself, so you might get it wrong, and that might limit what you do, what you don't do. So do get information on all of it and what you can, but move. Focus on what the actual reality, what you know that they put you through, what we currently do that doesn't sit well with you. You know, the stuff that you can pinpoint and see, okay, I don't want that. I don't want this. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. Doesn't really matter what they are. You just don't want that. You don't want that? Okay, take precautions.